Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me again for this tutorial. So in today's video we'll be making pearl beaded bag. I'm going to use this pearl over here. This is a size 10mm pearl I have. This is size 10, okay? I'll be using the pearl together with the metallic gold bead in 6mm. Okay, this is a 6mm metallic gold bead. This is my 50-pound fishing line. I'm going to use 50 pounds. That's a 50-pound fishing line. You can also choose your own colors to make this bag and it's going to look pretty. So let me push this aside and let's get started. We are going to start with 2 gold beads and 2 pearls. And this is how I'm going to arrange it on the line. I'm going to put gold bead first, pearls, then I'm going to pull 1 pearl on this side. So we have 2 pearls on the line and 1 gold bead in between them. Okay, and I'm going to cross both ends of the line into this gold bead and pull. I'm going to cross and pull down like this. You see how we arrange the bead? This is how it's supposed to look like. On each line again, I'll be adding 1 pearl on the right side of my line and the left side I add 1, okay, like this. I'll be crossing both ends of my line into this gold bead and pull. Cross and pull down. Then you have something like this. And on each line again, we are going to repeat the same thing. Pearl on each side of the line, like this. Then we cross into the gold bead and pull. Cross and pull down. Okay, I'm going to repeat this one more time. I'm going to pull pearl on each side of the line. Each side of the line, we're going to add pearl to it, like this. Then I'm crossing both ends of my line into the gold bead and pull. Cross and pull it down. So let me repeat this for you one more time, okay? I put one bead on each line. Then I'm going to cross into the gold bead and pull. And I want you to repeat this for me 11 times. So continue to weave yours and I'll meet you back here. This is how it's looking like. Repeat this 11 times. So this is my 11 that I make. If you count, it counts 11, okay? This is 11 total. So I'm going to turn on this to start a new row. I'm going to turn it to my side. Now you see how the lines are split into 2 like this, okay? On my right line, I add 3 beads to my right line, 2 pearls, and in between I put the gold bead. Then I'm going to cross into the pearl and pull into the pearl, okay? I cross my left line into the pearl. That way my line turns on the side so I can start a new row like this. This is where the line is, okay? Now on my left line, I add 2 gold beads and in between I put the pearl. I cross with my right line and pull. Now into the next bead. I pull my right line into the next bead and I add 1 pearl, 1 gold bead on my left line. I'm going to cross with my right line and pull. Now my right line again into the next bead. Pull into the next bead and I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead on my left line. I'll cross my right line into the gold bead and pull down. Into the next bead, I add 2 beads, 1 pearl and 1 gold bead. I cross into the gold bead and pull. This is how we are going to repeat. We are going to use go through the edge bead and add 2 beads to our left line, okay? So I add 2 beads again, 1 pearl and 1 gold bead to my left line. Cross and pull. And this is what we are going to repeat, continue to the end. Then we turn and make another row. Now I'm about to complete Now I add again 2 bead, that's 1 pearl and 1 gold bead to my left line. Now into the last bead, this one, I'm going to pull my right line into the last bead at the end over here. Now the same line that I pulled through the bead, that's my right line, okay? I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead to the line. I cross into the pearl and pull. You see how my line turned on the side again? We are going to start a new row again. Okay, my line is here. I'm going to turn it. This is how it's looking like. Very beautiful weave, very pretty. A right angle weave. I turn it to my side. Now on my left line again, I add 3 bead. So I add 2 gold bead and in between I put pearl. I cross into the gold bead and pull. Now into the next bead again. I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead. I hold the gold bead, pull the right line into it and pull like this. I'm going to pull my line again into the next bead. So my right line is going through all the edge bead. Then I'm adding bead to my left line, okay? I pull 2 bead, cross into the gold bead and pull into the next bead again. I add 2 bead to my line, cross and pull down into the next bead again. I add 2 bead to my left line. I cross with my right line and pull. Go into the next bead. I add 2 bead to my left line. I'm going to cross my right line into the gold bead and pull. So we do this and we complete. Now I'm about to complete. I'm pulling my right line into the last bead at the edge over here. I'm going to pull. Now the same line, I add 1 gold bead and 1 pearl. So I cross my left line into the pearl and pull like this. Now my line turn again on the side. We are going to continue again and build on this one. Okay, we are going to continue with another row. Now my left line, I add 3 bead. So I add 2 gold bead and in between I put the pearl like this, like how it's looking, okay? I cross with my right line and pull into the next bead. I add 2 bead, 1 gold and 1 pearl. Into the next bead again, I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead like this, like how we are doing. We are just repeating the same thing over and over. This is how we are going to continue to make a long mat, okay? This is how it's looking like. I'm going to weave a little bit more off camera and I'll meet you back here. On my left line, I add 2 gold bead and in between I put the pearl. Into the next bead, 2 bead. Into the next bead again, I add 1 gold and 1 pearl. Cross into the gold bead and pull. This is what we are going to weave and make a long mat of it, okay? And I'm just going to continue to weave until I make 30 rows. 30, okay? 30 rows. That's what I'm going to make. So I'm just going to continue to weave and weave off the rest of camera and I'll come and meet you back here. So you to continue to make yours and we meet back here, okay? I'm about to complete. This is how far I weave, okay? You have to continue to weave until you make 30. And this is how it's looking like. This is how it's looking like. I'm going to continue to make mine until I make 30 rows. Okay, now I am done with mine. This is how it's looking like, the beaded mat, and it's 30 by 12, okay? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold on 14. So I'm going to count 14 right here. I'm going to fold my first side on 14. Then I'm going to leave 2 in between like this. I'm going to count from this side 14, and fold on 14. Then we are leaving 2. Okay, 2 is going to be our base, so I fold on 14 and leave 2. So if you count the 14 on each side and 2 in the middle, that is 30 total. Okay, I'm using these 2 rows for my base. Okay, now I'm going to pull my line through these 2 beads. I'm going to pull my line through the first 2 and 1 on the side. This one. This is where my line is. Okay, these 2 beads. Now I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead. We are going to fill the side of our bag. Okay, I cross the gold bead with my right line and then pull down. Now I'm going to pull my line again, this line into the next 2 bead. Okay, next 2 bead. This is the first one. I'm going to pull through the second one. And the same line, I add 1 pearl to it, only 1 pearl. Cross and pull down. Now again, my right line to the next bead. I pull my line through the next bead on the side, and the same line I pull through this one, I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead. Cross and pull. Again, I'm going to pull my line through this bead, the pearl and the gold bead on the side, this one. Okay, I pull through the pearl first and the one on the side. Okay, now this line I add 1 pearl to it. The same line I pull through the gold bead, I add 1 pearl, cross with my other line and pull down like this. Now this line into the gold bead. I'm taking my time over here so everybody can see what I'm doing. Okay, that's why I take my time. The same line, I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead. I cross with my right line and pull down. Now this line, my right line, into the pearl and this bead on the side. I go through the pearl first and the gold bead on the side. Okay, I'm going to go through this gold bead on the side. The same line, I add only 1 pearl and cross with my other line and pull. Alright, you see how it's going, this line into the next bead. Now I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead. I'm going to pull my line again, this line into the pearl and the bead on the side. Go through the pearl first, this gold bead on the side. Now I pick up 1 pearl and cross my line into it and pull down. This line into the gold bead. Only gold bead, okay, on the side. Now I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead. I cross with my other line into the gold bead and pull it down. I'm going to pull my line again into the next bead, this one and the one on the side. I add 1 pearl, cross my line into it and pull into the next bead. Go to the next bead on the side, add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead. Cross with the other line and pull. Now my right line again into the pearl and the bead on the side. This bead on the side. Now I add 1 pearl to my line, cross and pull. This line into the next bead. Go into the next bead, add one pearl and one gold bead, cross and pull. Now I'm going to pull my right line again into the next pearl and the one on the side. This one and this on the side, okay? I'm going to add only one pearl to complete this row. Into the next bead, I pull my line into the gold bead, I add one pearl and one gold bead, cross and pull. Now into the next bead and the one on the side, into the next and into this bead on the side, the gold bead. Now add one gold bead to your line and cross with the other line and pull, cross and pull down. Into the next bead, I add one gold bead and one pearl to my line. Into the next pearl and the one on the side. I'm going to pull my line through this pearl and the bead on the side. So I add only one pearl to my line. I cross with my right line and pull. Now my right line again, this line into the next bead. Pull it through the gold bead on the side and add one pearl and one gold bead. Now I'm going to pull my line again into this one, into this line, into this pearl and the one on the side, okay? Pull it through the pearl and this on the side. Now I pick up only one pearl, put on my line, cross with the right line and pull down like this. Again, I'm going to hold this line, go through the next bead. I add one pearl and one gold bead, cross into the gold bead and pull. Into the next and the gold bead on the side. Add one pearl, cross both ends of your line into it, like this. Cross your right line into the pearl and pull. Now my line again, right line into the next bead. Pull it through the next bead. I add one pearl and one gold bead. I'm going to pull again my right line, this line into the next one and the one on the side. Pull through the pearl. And the bead on the side. Add one pearl to complete the row. And we are almost there to complete the side of the bag. I pull my line through the next bead, the next gold bead. I add one pearl and one gold bead. I cross with my right line and pull. Now I'm going to go into the next bead and the one on the side. Pull through the next bead and this bead on the side. I I add only one pearl to complete this row. Now I'm going to pull my line again through the last bead over here on the side. Okay, now I add one gold bead and one pearl. Cross into the gold bead and pull into the next bead. I'm going to pull my line through the last pearl and this bead over here. Okay, that's my last gold bead. Now this is how it's looking like. Okay, this is how the side is looking like. We have one pearl to complete the row, and now we are done with one side and complete with one side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill up the second side. Once you know how to fill it, it's easy. You can do yours very easily. So the rest of the line, just whip it back into the bead. Make sure it's well secured enough before you trim it off. Okay, I'm just weaving the line back into the bead. Make sure it's well secured enough, then I can trim it off. You too, if you complete yours, just do the same. Whip it into the bead. Okay, whip your line back into the bead. So I'm going to complete this side and I'll meet you back here. Continue to do yours and I'll meet you back here. Okay, now I completed the second side of my bag, and this is how it's looking like. Very cute, very simple. This is how the side is looking like. Okay, I filled it up. This is how it's looking. Now let me teach you how we are going to make the handle. I start with 4 beads on the line. I'm going to hold the last one, cross my right line into it and pull. Now again, I'm going to add, this is how it's looking like. Okay, I add one gold bead on each line, and I'm going to cross both ends of my line into the gold bead and pull. The same weave that we use for the bag, the same weave we are weaving over here. Okay, we are repeating the same thing. I add one bead on each line like this. Let me hold it well for you to see. This is how the weave is looking like, right angle weave. Okay, I'm going to cross both ends of my line into this one and pull down, cross and pull, and this is how the weave is looking like. I'm going to repeat this 8 times. Okay, 8 times, and this is my 8 that I made. Now I'm going to continue the middle with pearls. The middle, I'm going to continue with pearls. I put one pearl on each side of my line, then I cross both ends of my line into this gold bead and pull down. So in the middle, we are going to put pearls in the middle and end the rest with gold bead again. Okay, so I add one pearl on each side of my line, cross into the gold bead and pull. So this is 2 pearls we put over here like this. Okay, and now we are going to repeat the pearls 6 times. This is 5. I pull one more. I'm going to add one more. Then I continue with the gold bead at the end too. The same number of bead. Okay, now we did 6 in the middle. So I'm going to continue with the gold bead at the end. I'm going to repeat the gold bead at the end 8 times, like how we did for the beginning. Okay, the same number of beads from the beginning, we are going to complete this weave with it. So I'm going to repeat this gold bead 8 times. So I put one bead on each line, cross into the gold bead and pull, cross and pull down like this. This is how the weave is looking like, and I'll be repeating this. So I'll be repeating this 7 times. Okay, this is 8. I'm going to weave 7 times, then we turn on that 7 to make 8. So on my right line, I made 7. Okay, on my right line, I'm adding all 3 beads on my right line. Okay, then I'm going to cross with my left line and pull. That way we have 8. We turn on 7 to make the count 8. Now we start a new row. I start with 3 beads on my left line, cross with my right line and pull. I'm going to pull my line again into the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull down. This is how the weave is looking like. We are going to continue to the end, and now we complete with the gold bead. We start in the middle. We are going to add pearls in the middle again. Okay, it's the same pattern. Into the next bead, I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead, cross and pull. Into the next bead, I add 1 pearl and 1 gold bead to my line. Okay, I cross with my right line and pull. So in the middle, we are going to add pearls and complete the rest with the gold bead, like how we start. We are going to continue to the end like this. Look at how pretty it looks like. We are going to make only 2 rows, and this is how it's looking like. So with these 2 rows, I'm going to hold my line. This is how we are going to fold it. Okay, I'm going to hold my right line and pull into the next bead on the top like this. This is how my line is in the bead. I'm going to take 1 gold bead, cross both ends of my line into it and pull it down. Now my right line, I'm going to pull into the next bead. Pull, okay, and the left line, I'm going to pull into the next bead on the opposite side like this. I'm going to take 1 gold bead, cross both ends of my line into it and pull. Now into the next bead again, my right line into the next bead, and my left into the next bead on the opposite side. Then I'm going to take 1 gold bead, cross both ends of my line into it and pull. So this is just a repetition of what we started. We are going to go ahead and complete this piece. Let's go through the side bead and add bead, cross both ends of your line into it and pull. So continue to the end. So now our handle is done. We just have to attach it to the bag, and I'm going to pick this bead and attach it to it. So I'm going to put my line through the bead over here. Okay, and now this is the handle. I'm going to position it there to see if that is where I want it to be, if it looks beautiful. Now that is good, I'm adding 2 pearls on each side of my line like this. Then I'm going to hold the handle and cross both ends of my line into the edge bead and pull like this, cross and pull down. Now I'm going to hold this line, my right line, and go through all the beads round. I'm going to go through this pearl and this one over here. I'm going to go through this. So I'm going to pull it through this and this pearl over here, the 3rd one. Okay, I'm pulling my line back through it so I can have 2 lines together and tie them. So I'm going to fix the 2nd handle on the side to see if that is where I want it. Okay, so I leave that one for now, and I'm going to fix it here to see if it looks beautiful before I tie both of them. I don't want to tie before. If it doesn't look good, then I want to untie it and do it again. So I leave it for now. I'm adding 1 bead to my line, add 1 pearl to my line, then I'm going to pull my line through the bead on the bag. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to do over here. I'm going through this bead on the bag. So that is what I'm trying to do over here. So you too, when you make your bag, you're putting the handle, make sure you position it well before you attach it finally onto the bag. Now, what do you think? What do you think? It looks beautiful. What do you think? I think this is good. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to weave my line back and have it together so that I can tie. Okay, I'm going to hold this line, go back through these 3 beads round, then I can have it together and tie. like this. Pull and pull tight. Now I'm going to pull back into the bead and have the ends together. Then I can tie and tie nice and neat. So my line is in between these two beads over here, and I'm tying in between these two beads. I'm tying in between the bead and not on the bead, okay? Pull and pull tight and tie a knot and make sure it's well secured. So for the rest of my line, I'm going to weave it back into the bead. Make sure I secure it before I trim it off. So I'm just weaving it back into the bead over here, okay? Just weave and weave into the bead. I'm weaving back into the bead, and I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side of the handle. I'm tying in between over here, tie in between these two beads, nice and neat. Okay, then you'll hold it and tag it a little bit to shape it well and nice. Then I'm weaving the rest of my line into the bead. Make sure it's well secured enough before I trim it off. Very, very beautiful, very cute bag. Look at how beautiful it looks already. I'm just weaving the rest of the line into the bead. Okay, this one I can hold it and weave it back into the bead this way. It can be either way. Just weave a little bit long into the bead before you trim it off. Now I'm trimming all the hanging wires on the bag, and this is what we have. Okay, this is what we have. This is the inside of the bag. Very beautiful. And now that we are done hooking one, we are going to continue to do the second one over here. Very, very beautiful. So if you are done, this is how it looks like. This is how our cute little bag is looking like. This is, I put a little charm on it just to make it look like a store-bought. It looks so beautiful. Look at the inside. Inside is deep and big. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you for watching. I thank you for your time, and I will see you guys in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, please turn on your notifications for the new video that I'll be uploading so you don't miss on it. I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.